Hello, my name is Memo. This is my channel, FancyMemo. Welcome back to my channel. And if you're watching this video on the day of release, the date would be October 10th, 2025, otherwise known as 10/10. So guess what I'll be talking about today? Yes, we're running it back. Today, I will be talking about 10 albums I consider to be 10 out of 10. 10 albums I consider to be perfect. This is, of course, my opinion. Music takes online are subjective, as much as, some creators out there will try to claim that they have an objective opinion on certain topics in regards to music. Your music taste, your takes on music, your opinion are opinions. It's all subjective. So I do want to emphasize that before we move forward. But at the same time, the 10 albums I'm bringing in today are definitely not like hot takes or anything. These 10 albums, I'm sure a lot of you not only heard before, but maybe even agree that they're like perfect or basically perfect. A lot of these albums are considered classics at the end of the day. Basically what I'm saying, I'm not bringing in any hot takes. They're actually pretty cold, mild takes, I believe. So even if you don't think they're perfect, I'm sure you might at least see my point. You might see why I would consider them to be perfect. So yeah, I am gonna go over 10 albums that I consider perfect. I am a hip-hop fan. That is my bread and butter. That is what I'm mostly into. So most of the albums I will be talking about are in the realm of hip hop, but I do have a few albums that I'll talk about towards the end that are from other genres. I made a video like this last year talking about 10 albums I would consider a 10 out of 10. That did pretty well, so I appreciate you guys for watching that. If you did, if you haven't, go check it out. And if I do continue this series next year, I might have to talk about songs instead, because I don't think I could name 10 more albums that I would consider perfect. I don't really throw that perfect label on every album, just on albums that I really do love. So next year I'm probably going to be talking about 10 perfect songs, but this year let's talk about 10 albums I personally would consider to be perfect. But before we do, if you like music related content like this, please subscribe, since that is what I do here. And if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check out my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. If you like basketball, more specifically NBA basketball, I have a basketball podcast. It's called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. Check it out if you're interested. But yeah, let's dive right into it. Where should we start? Should we get the controversial picks out of the way? Let's do that. The reason why this is controversial is not because of the music, because the music is great, but it's because of the person. You might have guessed it already, but we're gonna talk about some Kanye. I am not a fan of Kanye as a person. I am not a fan of his ideologies, his rhetoric. He's been off the rocker more than usual, so I do not support that whatsoever. However, I can't lie, for the longest time he was my GOAT. He was the GOAT rapper in my opinion. It wasn't until Vultures where I believe his perfect discography ended up being ruined. So although he's no longer my GOAT, he's no longer my favorite rapper, I can't deny how amazing Late Registration is. To me, Late Registration is Kanye's best album and his only perfect solo album. I feel like what he did here is elevate everything that he did on College Dropout, and College Dropout is an amazing album, one of the greatest debut hip-hop albums of all time. Took basically all the best elements of College Dropout and just enhanced it tenfold on Late Registration with more elegant and beautiful production. I feel like everything on Late Registration showcases all of Kanye's best attributes at its highest form. So like the production is stellar. Some of Kanye's best writing is on this album. His best storytelling is on this album. Whether you talk about Roses or Hey Mama, there's several tracks here that will pull your heartstring. There's several songs here that'll make you feel like you're that guy, like on Touch the Sky, We Major, Bring Me Down. There's several tracks here that are perfect for different situations, yet the whole album is such a nice cohesive listen, to the point where like even the skits are great on this album. So yeah, to me this is amazing. There is absolutely no skip. The closest thing to a skip on this album is probably Gold Digger, mostly because to me it got overplayed. Like even before I was a Kanye fan, the only song I knew from Kanye was Gold Digger because it was played like everywhere. But with that said, every time I go into this album, I don't skip anything. It is such an enjoyable, cohesive, beautiful listen. So yeah, this is Kanye's best album for sure, and his only perfect solo album in my opinion. With that said though, he does have another perfect album, and he made it with Kid Cudi. Yes, I am talking about Kids See Ghost. Maybe a basic take, especially knowing that Fantano gave it a 10, but how could I not give it a 10? There is no fat within this album whatsoever. It's just 7 tracks of pure perfection from beginning to end. It's 7 tracks, 43 minutes and 52 seconds. There is no room for error. If there was one thing that I didn't like, I wouldn't consider this a perfect album, but I love every single part of this album. Whether it's Kanye's manic performance on Feel the Love and Pusha T's great feature on that track, whether it's the Louis Prima sample on Fourth Dimension, Kid Cudi's performance on Reborn, the rock and roll essence on Free, every track here is a banger. Bangers on top of bangers on top of bangers. I can't deny the greatness of this album. Maybe it's basic calling it a 10. Call me Fantano Jr. if you want, but I can't see a flaw. I can't see a flaw. As hard as I want to try to not give Kanye any credit here, he did his thing on this album, and so did Kid Cudi. Man, Kid Cudi, bro. This is by far the best thing he's ever done in his career. This is probably his best album, to be honest with you. Like, I do think this is better than Man on the Moon. Maybe a hot take there, but that's my truth. That's my truth. I miss these days, dude. Like, I remember when this was released. It felt like the world was a much better place when Kanye and Kid Cudi were getting along. Kanye was still insane around this time, and like, he was full on MAGA, but he wasn't as insane as today, I guess. I don't know. It's still pretty bad, but at least he was making great music. This is amazing. I love Kid Seago so much. I'm actually getting sad knowing that we're never gonna get a project like this again. That sucks. All right, let's move on to some older hip hop. I feel like this is a good time to bring in some Tribe, A Tribe Called Quest. A Tribe Called Quest is my favorite rap group of all time, and to me their best album is the Low End Theory. You know, they have like close second and third. Like, their discography is so good. Even their last album, We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service, that is like as perfect as you can get. Maybe I could convince myself to give that a perfect rating as well, because it's that damn good. But for sure, the Low End Theory is a perfect album. This album is filled with a lot of fan favorite tracks like Check the Rhyme, classic. This album and other albums around this time period help influence more jazzier production within hip hop music. I don't want to act like this wasn't a great team effort, but I kind of have to just shout out Q-Tip for a little bit, because he is an amazing producer and has one of my favorite voices in hip hop. But again, this was a team effort, right? It wasn't just Q-Tip. It wasn't the Q-Tip show. Five Dog did amazing on the rapping end. We got producers like Shaheen Muhammad coming in and helping create this very influential and important album for not only hip-hop, but for all of music. All right, now let's move on to Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition. If you know me, you know I love this album. I consider this the second best album from the last decade. I've glazed over this album millions of times, and I will continue doing so until I die. Atrocity Exhibition is a classic. It is a groundbreaking experimental hip-hop album where Danny Brown's going on a full-on downward spiral where drugs and alcohol is consuming his life and his mental health is at an all-time low, and this man definitely needs help but doesn't really want to ask for it because he finds that weak. There's a lot of amazing writing you could take out of this album, which I feel like is the most underrated part of this album, is the writing. There's a lot to love and appreciate in regards to Danny's lyricism here. But of course, what makes this even more special is the production, because it is insane. This is one of the most insane albums you'll ever listen to. It goes balls to the wall from beginning to end, and the beats here sound like stuff that like no normal human, no normal rapper could ever touch. But Danny can't. Danny could rap over basically anything. I just recently talked about his new song Starburst and how insane that track is, and how like he is the only one that can rap over these insane instrumentals. I love how eccentric he is on most of the album. It's pure chaos from beginning to end. This album is absolutely perfect. No notes. It's amazing. It's a one-of-a-kind album that I feel like every hip-hop fan must listen to. You might not get it at first. It might be a bit much, especially if you're not used to this kind of hip-hop, but please give it a chance. Let it simmer. Give it some time. You'll appreciate the work that Danny did on this album. Just gotta give it a chance. Alright, next artist I'm gonna talk about is MF Doom with Food. This is one of the most interesting, quirky albums in my list today. I find it insane how MF Doom was able to pull off an entire concept album revolving around food. Like, how did he do that? It's so clever. A lot of the bars is so funny. I think the production here has some of Doom's most interesting and quirky production. I think I said that already like a few times, but I feel like that's the best way you can describe this album. Like, this is not normal. This is weird. To me, weird is good. I like weird. There are several MF Doom classics on this album, whether you talk about Hoe Cakes, One Beer, Deep Fried Friends, Rap Snitch Niches with Mr. Fantastic. Oh my god. Classic. Several classics here. To me, Doom is one of the best to ever do it. This is his best solo album, but he does have another perfect album that I talked about last year with Mad Villainy. It definitely hurts knowing that he is no longer with us, but man, what a legacy he left behind. Like, this is truly some of the greatest music ever created. So shout out Doom, rest in peace to him. One of the GOATs for sure. The last hip hop album I'm gonna talk about is Eminem's The Marshall Mathers LP. Yeah, I don't admit this often, but I've talked about how I got into hip hop because of Eminem. So it's no secret that I do like his older stuff. Maybe not so much the newer stuff. I've shit on that plenty of times, but the older stuff is what I grew up on. It's what got me into the genre. If it wasn't for this album, I probably wouldn't have this channel. I probably wouldn't be so into hip hop or music in general. Eminem to me was the gateway to the music world, and the Marshall Mathers LP to me is his best album, and an absolutely perfect album with so many amazing tracks. Like, what a track list. We got Kill You, we got Stand, one of the greatest storytelling tracks of all time. The Way I Am, The Real Slim Shady, Remember Me. I really like Amityville. I also really like Kim. I don't know if those are red flags or not, but you know, I like it. I love it. It's aggressive, it's nasty, it's gnarly, it's a violent album, and that's why I like it so much. I like how controversial he was. I like how off the rocker he was. He brought in so many interesting concepts within several of these tracks. The rapping was of course impeccable. He is, when he wants to be, one of the greatest rappers to ever do it, whether that's on a technical standpoint or on a lyrical standpoint. At his best, he is one of the best to ever do it. Unfortunately, I can't say he is like a top 10 rapper in my opinion. His early catalog was amazing, and he does have a perfect album under his belt in my opinion. So, you know what? Shout out Eminem. Shout out Eminem. So those are the 6 hip-hop albums I would consider perfect. Now let's dive into some other albums that I would consider perfect that aren't necessarily hip-hop. Starting with Gorillaz with Plastic Beach. I made it no secret, Gorillaz is my favorite band of all time. I know they're technically a virtual band, but I don't care. They're my favorite band of all time. You can't make me choose a different band. This is it. This is my favorite. Take it or leave it. And they're my favorite band for albums like this. Plastic Beach is a beautiful, beautiful concept album, basically talking about how we're kind of like ruining the planet, making these plastic beaches. I think the theme of the album is very important. The concept was delivered in a brilliant way. The instrumentals here, ooh, it's so good. It's so good. Some of Gorillaz' most unique and beautiful production is on this album, like Rhinestone Eyes. Name me another track that sounds like Rhinestone Eyes. You can't. It's such a Gorillaz track. Only Gorillaz can make a track like that. This is such a unique album that I can't imagine anybody else pulling off. Like, for fuck's sake, the album starts off with an orchestral intro that leads into a Snoop Dogg track. Like, how can anybody else pull that off? The only band that can do that is Gorillaz. So yeah, I love this album. Some of my favorite tracks are on this album. One of my favorite tracks of all time is Empire Ants. That beat switch on Empire Ants is one of the greatest beat switches of all time. We also got tracks like On Melancholy Hill. Who doesn't like that track? Like, come on. We got Sweepstakes, Glitter Freeze, Stylo. A lot of tracks here that are absolutely amazing. And yeah, even though I do consider both Demon Days and Plastic Beach perfect, I do kind of prefer Plastic Beach. I think that's the one that I prefer. All right, let's move on to Prince. And yeah, we're going with a basic pick. You know, this might not be the most exciting pick, but I am going to be talking about Purple Rain by Prince. I love this album. And I think a big reason why I love this album is because, you know, growing up, the only English music I would listen to is the music off of the soft rock radio that my mom loves a lot. And they would play a good amount of Prince and a few tracks off of this album, like Let's Go Crazy, like When Doves Cry, like Purple Rain. So I grew up listening to a bit of Prince, and then when I finally checked out this whole album, my mind was blown. The artistry that's displayed on this album is second to none. Prince is one of the most talented human beings that ever graced this planet. Whether it's because of his singing, I love how emotional and passionate he got with his vocals, just straight up like straining his voice, giving his all on tracks like The Beautiful One. Whether it's him as an instrumentalist, the guitar solo on Purple Rain is one of the most iconic guitar solos of all time because it's so damn good. And that song in general, Purple Rain, probably the greatest outro track of all time. This is of course all my opinion, but I can't name an outro as high voltage, as cinematic, as beautiful as Purple Rain. This album is fun. It could be sad at times. It's an emotional roller coaster that I am willing to go on from time to time. So yeah, shout out to Prince, dude. Like, man's a goat, dude. Like, he really is. Alright, we're almost towards the end. The next album I'm gonna talk about, maybe this one's my most controversial take, I don't know, but I am going with Random Access Memories by Daft Punk. Now, I know a lot of people would consider Discovery as their best album. To me, it's Random Access Memories, and I feel like a big reason why is due to nostalgia. I remember listening to a lot of these songs growing up. I remember listening to Get Lucky before going to school back when I was in middle school. You know, like a lot of these songs kind of like soundtrack my middle school years and were a part of my life, even though I didn't necessarily seek out this music. Like, I wasn't a Daft Punk fan at the time, but I did listen to their music when it was on the radio. I did enjoy it, and then as I became more of a music fan and went into their back catalog and went into Random Access Memories, I guess pun intended, I got access to a bunch of random memories. It took me back. So yeah, I'm playing the nostalgia card, and so what? This is my list. But yeah, there's a lot of incredible songs here, like Instant Crush. I love Julian Casablancas' contribution on that track. Pharrell has a couple contributions throughout the track list. Get Lucky is what he's known for with Nile Rodgers, but Lose Yourself to Dance to me is the better track. Lose Yourself to Dance. I love how like basically all the instrumentals just keep building and building, and there's some songs here that are more cinematic than others. And look, I am very sad that we'll never get Daft Punk music ever again. They've retired, they've broken up or whatever. At least they ended off on a very high note. Again, in my opinion, this is their best album. They ended things off at the highest note possible. So yeah, maybe this isn't as influential as Discovery. Maybe it didn't make the same impact to electronic music the same way that Discovery did. But a lot of these songs do hold a special place in my heart. It reminds me of some good times, some bad times as well. And the music is like truly amazing. I just can't get over how forward thinking, cinematic, and mind bending a lot of these tracks are. So yeah, shout out to Daft Punk. Alright, we've made it to the last album. This is the 10th, and the album I will be talking about is an album I actually got to react to on the channel. You can see my very first reaction to this album. It was part of the classic reaction series that I have not continued since. Maybe one day. But yeah, that album is Rage Against the Machine by Rage Against the Machine. When I listened to this album, I could not separate this album from what was going on during that time. And during the time, it wasn't even like that bad. When I reacted to this album, I think Trump just got elected, and a lot has happened since then, yet I still was able to pull out a lot from this album and connect it to things I was afraid was gonna happen in November. And knowing what has happened since November, it just makes this album more and more relevant. This album is politically charged, it is angry, and so am I guess. Like, man, it is hard to like watch the news or read the news without my blood boiling. And I feel like this album just makes for the perfect soundtrack to what I'm feeling at the moment. Not only because of the lyrics, which again is very scary how relevant it is today, but the energy that the production is giving off, the insane wild guitar solos throughout the entire album. They just provide so much chaos and aggression. And so does Zach's voice. Zach performed his ass off on this album, straight up screaming on a few of these tracks, just letting it all out there, being angry as he should. Straight up just one of the best vocal performances I've heard in a metal album. But yeah, I'll just end off by saying that I love this album. It really displays how I'm feeling at the moment in a very bombastic way. So yeah, shout out to Rage Against the Machine. And shout out to you guys for watching this video to this point. I know I did a lot of yapping, but you know, I'm passionate about these albums, man. These albums are perfect in my opinion. So I have to talk about them and give them the love that they all deserve. But yeah, I guess I'll end it here. Thank you guys for watching. If you like the video, makes sense, right? Comment down below, what are some albums you would consider perfect? Do we have any in common? Let me know. Again, check out last year's video so you can know the other 10 albums I would consider perfect. If you like music related content like this, please subscribe, since that is what I do here. And if you want to see my takes on 10 perfect songs, make sure you're subscribed and you'll be able to see that next year. But yeah, if you're already subscribed and you want more of this for some reason, check out my Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. If you like basketball, more specifically NBA basketball, I have a basketball podcast. It's called Above the Rim Rundown, where we run down all things NBA. Check it out if you're interested. But yeah, I'm done here. So thank you guys for watching. I love you guys. Goodbye. Perfect.